Well, Representative Eric Robertson, thank you for talking with us here on the Spotlight. You represent the 31st Legislative District. So that is a lot of people in South King County, a lot of people in Pierce County. I moments ago got the latest auto theft numbers for the year from the Auto Theft Task Force. Pierce County had 9,631 vehicles stolen in 2022. And King County was even worse, 16,505 vehicles stolen in 2022. Every one of those vehicles has somebody who needed it, probably to get to work, take their kids to school. I mean, it's not just a stolen car. Police pursuits and the lack of the ability to do that because they have to establish probable cause over reasonable suspicion has led to criminals feeling emboldened. And many detectives and victims tell me they feel like that legislation has caused these auto theft numbers to spike. Your bill to roll back some of the changes in that legislation could make a huge difference. What are the changes that you're calling for in this legislative session?
Probably the most important thing, as you pointed out, they changed it in 2021 to where it requires probable cause. That was a change in standard from previously where it was reasonable suspicion. The reasonable suspicion standard had been in place for years. And the probable cause, quite frankly, is a charging standard for court. So police officers rarely have that level of proof when they're going after a bad guy. And what this would do is return it back to the reasonable suspicion standard, allow law enforcement officers out in the community to detain people and investigate crimes. And that includes stopping them. And sometimes you have to pursue them because criminals don't always stop for the blue lights that are behind them. And it's become unfortunate. It's become a shift to where the criminals are now in control instead of the law enforcement officers who are sworn to protect our community being in control, because they just have to stand back and allow bad things to happen, sometimes right in front of them. And we've seen, videos from body cam and patrol car cams that have demonstrated how this is really being taken advantage of, and how important it is that we change it back to reasonable suspicion.
We literally just had a case today in Edgewood where a guy was in the car. He'd been doing drugs. He was passed out, takes off fleeing from police. They had to figure out ways to follow him, develop probable cause. He ends up crashing the vehicle. He's gone to the hospital. And this is not unusual. This is happening a lot, which is also putting the public in danger. The original intent was perhaps to keep some of the pedestrians and other people from getting injured in some of these pursuits, and also maybe to be more equitable. I know you tried last year to roll back some of the changes to allow for these police pursuit decisions to be made. What's different this time that you think you might have a shot at getting this through?
Well, House Bill 1503, as the one that I just introduced, pre-filed here in December, and hopefully we'll get a hearing on it shortly after the legislative session starts on January 9th. It is exactly like the bill that I introduced in 2022 for that session. They had a hearing on it and made some changes, which I don't think helped the bill. And then, of course, the Speaker of the House put her foot on the bill as they didn't want it to move out of the House floor. So it was really unfortunate. I'm hoping that these anecdotal and the data that's been collected and the videos that have been shown by law enforcement to some of the members of the majority, hopefully they'll have a second thought about what they need to do to allow law enforcement to again, work in our communities to keep them safe, because the criminals are emboldened. They are getting more and more brazen by the day. And yes, when they put the kibosh to police pursuits, yeah, there's less collisions involved in a pursuit. But as you pointed out just a moment ago, these criminals are racing away from crime scenes. They're racing away from law enforcement that are trying to stop them, and they're getting involved in collisions in that manner. So it's just shifting the problem from one side to another, from trained professionals to career criminals. And so who do we really want in charge in our communities? And I think the answer is in House Bill 1503, and we can change that back.
In your discussions, are you getting any support from the Democrats to be a little bit more reasonable, at least to take a serious look at making these changes based on what the public seems to want?
Well, I honestly, the folks that I've talked to, they have interest in it, but nobody will sign on to it or say that they'll support it. Kind of interesting, you know, many of them campaigned during this last year on fixing this, but nobody's willing to step up from the Democratic Party to sign on to that bill and or promise it a hearing.
So many of our viewers ask me, what can we do? What is your call to viewers to help support this if they want this change made?
Well, the first thing you need to do is get on your keyboard and write your legislators a note. If you go to www.leg.wa.gov, look up your legislator and send them a note and tell them to support House Bill 1503, and ask for the chairman of the committee to get it out of the Public Safety Committee and for the speaker to move it to the floor of the House for a vote, because we can't continue to let the brazen acts of criminal behavior ruin our communities. We need to have a reasonable solution, and I think this is it.
We will be tracking it here on the Spotlight. Please keep us posted. If we can draw some more attention to this issue, if we can get some of the folks on that other side of the aisle to talk about this, we definitely want to keep this in front of the public eye, because this is only going to get more serious as the auto theft numbers have proven out. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.